Hey, it's great to be with you. I'm going to time myself over here. We're going to practice for the lobby day. But if you're not going to lobby day, I really hope you stay and practice for when you go home in July and August to meet with your members of Congress. This quote is attributed to Israeli diplomat Abba Eban. Governments can be counted on to do the right thing, but only after they've exhausted all other possibilities. Lobby day and your meetings in July and August and beyond is our work to speed up the process of getting government to do the right thing. So I'm going to give you a little logistical update on how this is going to work. And then I'm going to call, not yet, New Jersey, Tri-County New Jersey APA, American Promise Association, up to the stage. They're going to demonstrate 2 sections of a lobby day meeting. And then I'm going to ask you, I'll form little groups out here, to practice what you just saw. We'll take some questions, and then they'll leave, and Port Clinton, Ohio, APA leader will come to the stage and demonstrate some other sections of a lobby day meeting, and then you'll practice again, and I'll have them lead, and Tri-County comes back and does the end of the meeting. You'll practice, we'll take some questions, and hopefully by the end, we'll have time for me to do a little bit of logistics of getting from the hotel Monday morning to the metro station, to Union Station, over the Capitol steps for the photo, and then on to your lobby day meetings. So here's what I like to do. We need to do a little logistics. If you are sitting with your lobby day group right now, or you can easily get to them, please stand up. If you're right with your lobby day group, please stand up right now. Great. Okay, so you can sit down. Now, if you're not with your lobby day group, listen. If you're not with your group, or you're not going to lobby day, or you're going alone, just 1 or 2 of you, please stand up. So you're not with your lobby day group, or you're not going to lobby day, or it's only 1 or 2 of you going. Would you stand up? Who's in that category? Please stand up. Who else is either not going or not with your group, or it's only 1 or 2? Could you just form groups of 3 with the nearest people to you? I want you to form groups of 3. It could be 4, but groups of 3, because we're going to practice with this little group that we've formed. Now, next instruction. These groups of 3, maybe it's 4, we need 1 of you to be the member of Congress or staff. So quickly, just point to someone who'll be, there you go, who'll be the member of Congress. Now pick someone else who will be the lobby day leader of the volunteer team. Who's that person? Okay, great. And pick the 3rd person to be the note taker. So we need a note taker. So watch this. Everyone in the room, if you're playing the role, and we need this in the lobby day groups, we need a member of Congress or staff. If you're playing the role of the member of Congress or staff, stand up for a moment. Stand up, if no one in your group is standing up, 1 of you should stand up so we know who's going to play the role when you practice of the member of Congress or their staff. Okay, you can sit down. If you're the lobby day leader person leading the volunteer group, stand up. Okay, if no one's standing in your group, 1 of you should stand up. Great, sit down. Thank you. Shh, we're getting organized. And 3rd person, who's the note taker? We're not going to take notes right now, but we'll want 1 of you should be the note taker. So the person who didn't stand should be that. Okay, you can sit down. So let me go to the next section, and then we'll call them on stage. If you're the actual leader of a lobby day group, you should have received a leave behind packet that you'll leave behind with the member of Congress or their staff. There's 1 document in that folder that you don't leave behind. It's the note taker's form, and you'll take that out for the note taker to use, not now, but on Monday, kind of thing. In this session, we're going to learn by observing and by doing, and I urge you to get together tomorrow morning at breakfast to practice some more, tomorrow night, during or after dinner, to practice some more. And Azer and I are going to have a Lobby Day workshop tomorrow afternoon at 1:40 for some more coaching and practice on having great Lobby Day meetings. Now, if you're going to the Lobby Day meeting, you should have a constituent folder. You may have left it in your room, but the constituent folder has in it a sample meeting outline. The laser talk is on the front of that, and right behind it is the sample meeting outline. If you don't have that, each table has 3 copies of a sample meeting outline, and I urge you to share if you don't have enough for everyone. So if you'll take out the sample meeting outline, I'm going to go through the first sections, and then when that's done, I'm going to call up the Tri-County, New Jersey group. So before the meeting, research whether the member of Congress is currently a co-sponsor of the amendments. Those co-sponsor lists are in the constituent folder. Research their history. Find something you can thank them for and why you appreciate it. When you get to their office, look around for something you can connect on. Maybe they've gotten an award from a group you know. So then on the meeting itself, they're going to do parts 1 and 2. And parts 1 is the thank you, introduce yourselves briefly, name and city, ask how much time they have, and stick to that unless they extend it. And then thank your member of Congress or their staff for something the member has done. And number 2 is the basic ask, the primary ask. So I'm going to ask Tri-County, New Jersey, APA, American Promise Association, to come on stage. And Azer, we'll give the microphone to, I think, Joan, because she'll be the leader here. They are going to meet, and come on over. Azer, why don't you stand over here so they've got more room. Azer is going to be the aide to the Democratic Senator Robert Menendez of New Jersey. This is the Tri-County group in New Jersey. Who's the leader of this group? There you are. Okay, Joan. And who's the note taker? Okay, though we're not going to take them right now. And so, aide, Tri-County, New Jersey, please go ahead.
Okay.
And
so you're Daniel.
Okay,
Daniel, got it.
Hi, Daniel. I'm Joan.
Joan, so nice to meet you.
Tri-County American Promise, chapter of American Promise. And really want to thank you for meeting with us today. And we know that you are a supporter of SJR 8. And so how much time do we have to meet with you today?
Thank you for asking. We've got about 30 minutes. Is that okay for you guys?
Yeah, that'll work.
Great.
So first thing I'd like to do is introduce the other members of my team. As you know, American Promise is our main goal is to get money out of politics and overturning Citizens United. And of course, as a co-sponsor of SJR 8, we know we're on the same page with that. And what we really hope to do is have this be the first step of a collaborative relationship that we can build together. So here's the rest of the
Why
team.
don't you pass the mic down?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Marie Henselder-Kimmel of Cherry Hill, New Jersey.
Hi, Kristen Burke from Pensacola, New Jersey.
Hello, I'm Steve Miller from Haddonfield, New Jersey.
Hi, I'm Kelly Clark from Medford, New Jersey.
Barbara Miller from Haddonfield, New Jersey.
Suzanne Delario, Belmar, New Jersey.
Barbara Miller from Paulsboro, New Jersey.
Well, since we don't have a whole lot of time to meet this morning, we all have our reasons for wanting to work towards this goal of overturning Citizens United, but we thought we'd let one of our members talk a little bit more about it.
Hi, Kristen again. So I wasn't really always very politically active, and when I started paying attention, I started getting really frustrated when I learned about how much money was really running through our political system. Does my voice even matter if I'm not writing big checks? Does Congress care what I have to say if my goals conflict with the big donors' goals? So instead of whining about it on Facebook, I decided that I would find the right group of people, to find the right politicians who have the will to break that cycle. And sorry, that wasn't part of it. I have a 3-year-old at home, and I'm expecting our second girl. So it's become incredibly important to me to work with my representatives to help eliminate the influence of big money in politics, because I want my daughters to grow up knowing that their voices matter and that their votes matter, because that's really how it should be. So thank you again for meeting with us today.
Well, thank you, Kristen, and thank you all. You know, I got interested in politics because of my belief that people can work effectively in a democracy when they choose to get involved, and it's these exact type of constituent visits which the senator loves and his staff, myself, love as well.
Yes, well, we were curious about that, and of course, we feel it's very important, and we're glad to see that you feel that way too. So, Marie, you want to talk a little bit more about the issue?
Sure. We're here today from all corners of New Jersey to work to advance the passage of a 28th constitutional amendment to get money out of politics, but to rein in the destructive influence of money in politics. We thank you for your support, and being an original co-sponsor of SJ Res 8, Senator Menendez, and ask you to help us expand support for this work. We're working locally to increase public knowledge by writing letters to the editor, having outreach meetings, speaking educationally to other groups, and that's very important to increase awareness and to build the support both on state and local and federal levels to pass this constitutional amendment. We'd like to work with the senator to increase the education of the public, and we hope that he may work on an op-ed or participate in a town hall or an outreach meeting with us focused on this topic in order to help increase support in the state.
Okay, brilliant. In the name of time, I'm going to stop the meeting here so you can practice. And so I'm going to just give you a few minutes. One of you is the aide or the member of Congress. The other two are the volunteers coming in. You've just observed this. It doesn't matter if you do a mediocre job. We have lots of time to get better at this. I'm going to ask you to practice. I'll give you some time, and then we'll do some Q&A and go to the next section. So please, where you are, go ahead and do this part of the beginning of the meeting. Go ahead. Okay, we're going to stop in just a moment. So if you could wrap that up, that would be great. So we're going to take questions. We're going to have 3 little short question periods. So, okay, sorry for interrupting. If you have a question, raise your hand. We have a mic runner. Who has a question? We kind of threw you off the diving board a little bit into the pool to practice. Who has a question? And if we stand up, and I'll take another one. Who has a question, a second question? I'm going to go ahead, stand up. Go ahead with that first one.
I think this personal story part, why is this work important to you, having that really ready and crafted. My question is, I'm not sure how much time that they'll have, but if they say, like, I have 15 minutes, do you think there should be 2 stories or 1 story?
Well, that's a great question. Let's take the second question and then we'll answer. Go back there, behind you, sorry. Hiding in the...
Should we be doing the exercise, or should we literally be planning for Monday? In other words,
well, if you have a meeting Monday and you have your team together, you should take this time to practice for that meeting. Okay, on the 1 story or 2 stories, and I'm going to just share this for a moment. In other words, we could go into the meeting and they told us we have 30 minutes, but when we get there, oh, I'm sorry, I'm running behind, I only have 15. And then you have to kind of play it on your toes and shorten things down. We did a practice phone call the other night, and I was saying that for me, when 20 first graders were murdered at an elementary school in Connecticut and 6 adults, and then nothing was done afterward, largely because of money and politics, the state of grief that I was in over that experience and over that time is why I'm involved in this issue. So looking for something personal to you that brings you to this issue, and whether you have time for 1 or 2 depends on what the aide says there is time in that meeting. Let's take 1 or 2 more if they're quick. Is there another question? Raise your hand right over there. Is there 1 more? We've got 1 over there. We're going to have more questions in a moment. Go ahead.
Yes.
Give your name and city.
Yes, Travis Speaker from Claymont, Delaware.
Great.
So I was asking, or what I'm looking to ask is, I have a little bit of an intro about American Promise to give at the start of the meeting. Should I disregard that or in favor of intros, or?
Stay where you are. How long is your little intro at the beginning?
It's like a paragraph, like maybe runs a minute.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
What we're going to get to in this next section is on how important it is to listen. And so I'm going to call Ellen from Port Clinton, Ohio, to come to the stage. And I want to read, yes, of course. So I want to read the section that she's going to work on, which really stresses listening a bit more than our talking. So she's going to go over her ask, which she's got a Republican senator, and she's going to make an ask. You'll hear it in a moment. And why that ask is important to her. This is a part I wanted to read. Welcome feedback, questions, comments from the member or their staff regarding the bill. If you're meeting with a Republican and they seem resistant to the issue, ask some open-ended questions like, what are your thoughts on the current finance system? What, if any, changes would you make to improve the current campaign finance system? You really want to hear where they're coming from. You really want to look for an opening for a next step. Other questions and thoughts. What could we be doing more of in your district or the state to make it easier for you to support or lead on this issue? Or what's preventing you from supporting this approach? We're betting the farm on relationships. Anger and ranting on our part won't build relationships. If they raise an unrelated topic, don't take the bait. Just go back to what we're talking about. If they say something negative about this issue or about this movement, ask them to say more. Ask them, why do you think that is? We really want to listen, and we really also would like to have some fun. So this is the aide to Senator Rob Portman, Republican of Ohio, and Ellen's going into this meeting, and she's going to start with the ask, skipping the beginning.
Yes, I've already introduced myself and explained about American Promise and told something about myself, and now I'm asking Sam. Sam, one of the things that is important to us in American Promise is to ask the senator to support us in some way. And I know that he has not been a co-sponsor of SJR 8, which is the resolution in the Senate to promote the 28th Amendment. And one of the things I would like to ask of him is to consider becoming a co-sponsor of that particular resolution. I know that one of the things that I know about Senator Portman is that he has been designated the second most bipartisan senator in this particular Congress, and that is in terms of reaching across the aisle to co-sponsor bills and also joining with people across the aisle in bills they co-sponsor. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, well, thanks for the question, Ellen. And, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but SJR 8 is a piece of legislation in the Senate, and there's 40 or 50 co-sponsors. I believe all of them are Democrats. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. We don't have any Republicans as of right now.
Yeah, and I know the senator is very proud of his track record of bipartisanship. With that said, it's difficult in today's political climate to be the first person to take this step if you're asking him to co-sponsor a bill where he's going to be outnumbered, if he does so, 50-1.
Okay, I understand that. What about this alternative? American Promise is developing a non-binding resolution for Republicans only, and do you think the senator would consider being a sponsor of that legislation or reaching out to other Republican senators to co-sponsor that?
So this is a resolution, sort of a statement of principle?
a non-binding resolution, yes.
And you're only asking Republicans at this time?
Correct, yeah.
Well, that's something that he'd certainly be more receptive to,
Okay.
at least to read over. Do you have a copy of it with you?
I do, and I can give that to you to take to the senator. So it sounds like he might be somewhat open to at least reading that.
At least reading it. If he signs onto it, is it immediately publicized? Is this something that all of a sudden everyone knows he's the one Republican who's on this non-binding statement of principle, or is it something that, keeps sort of under wraps until more of his colleagues, more Republican colleagues, are on board as well? Do you know the answer to that?
Well, I don't for sure, but it sounds a little bit like he doesn't maybe want to be the one that stands out among the Republicans or the first one to take the lead on this, that he might be, he might want to get some colleagues to join him in this rather than sort of stepping out on his own.
Yep, and I don't think he's alone in wanting to do things politically with some fellow colleagues around doing the same thing, especially when it's something that, at this time, from our perspective, seems partisan.
Okay, let me interrupt for a moment. Great job. You can hold on to that or give it to Azer. This was great. So the particular ask for House Republicans and Senate Republicans is that they be the lead or initial sponsor on a Republican resolution, and there's draft language in the Leave Behind folder, maybe in the other folder too. So we might want to stress that not that he does it, would I be alone? Would it be announced? Would anyone know? No, that maybe he could gather with our help 8 other colleagues in the Senate, Republican colleagues. And the other thing is that's why your report form is so important, that we know that there's actually interest in 6 other offices. And we can follow up some more because we get the reporting back. Brilliant. Thank you so much. Now, I'm going to ask you to do this part of the meeting, which is A, repeating the ask. It could be the Democrat ask, which is SJ Res 8, but many of them are co-sponsors. So instead, writing an op-ed expressing their support and educating the public, or the Republican ask that they introduce or be an initial sponsor of a Republican-only resolution in the Senate. And a discussion about that with a bunch more listening than talking. So you have about 4 minutes. If you wouldn't mind right now, just in your small groups, give this next section a run for it. We're going to go to questions. Sorry that there's a limited amount of time, but it gets you a feel for what we need to work on and practice. Questions. Let's take 2 questions. Here's the first one. Who's the second one? Do you have a second right there? Please stand up. They'll bring you the mic after. Go ahead. First question.
So I actually read the Democratic platform, A Better Deal, and it's a great platform. However, there's a little problem, especially for you guys who are going to go and work with Republican congressmen, because basically, here's some of the verbiage. Congress must improve enforcement of campaign finance law, end the scourge of dark money, and establish its authority to regulate the raising and spending of political money by passing a constitutional amendment to overturn Citizens United.
And the question is?
What do we do about that?
Meaning, how do we get Republicans on board?
Republicans on board with that?
Okay, great. And the second question? My question is, here comes the mic.
Vicky,
1 second.
Hold up 1 second.
Sorry, I'm name and city, and I meant to do this for everyone.
Vicky Barnes, Minnesota.
Great. And 1 second, name and city. Great. Okay.
Since when we see a House member, since this is an election season,
Yes.
Would it be appropriate to bring up the fact, if they're non-supportive, that their opponent is supporting it?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. But also what do we need to do to make it easier for you to support? Well, I could use support from the business community or whatever. So let me go to this first question. I'm really honored to coach American Promise, And the first group I coached was Citizens Climate Lobby. They had 25 people at their conference in DC in 2010, and 2 weeks ago they had 1,400, and 1,200 went to their lobby day. So I know from small, they had 75 at their second. We already have more than 100 going to our lobby day. They've enrolled 41 Republicans and 41 Democrats in joining the House Climate Solutions Caucus, and they started with a Republican resolution on climate change, where 8 co-sponsored it initially. So it's a trudge, but it's one that others are making, others are beginning to succeed on, and we can succeed on it too. So let's take one more question right there. Would you say it out? Okay, there's a mic. I was going to repeat it. Go ahead.
Hi, this is Nancy Morgan. I'm from Virginia. This is the table for Virginia.
Yay, Virginia.
The question is, when we were finishing and doing our ask, we weren't sure whether this is Senator Warner, whether he signed on it or not, because otherwise we would say, well, thank you very much, but we don't know.
Sorry, are you meeting with Senator Warner or his staff? Yeah. So in your constituent folder, tell me if I'm wrong, should be the resolutions, and also on the back, the co-sponsors. So if you look on the back of SJ Res 8, you'll see the list of co-sponsors, and you can find that out. So before I ask Tri-County New Jersey APA to come back up here, they're going to demonstrate the last section, 5, 6, 7, and a little bit of 8 maybe. 5 is repeat the request. 6 is wrap up, set up necessary follow-up to learn their decision with contact information and expected response time. Thank them for their attention and time. And then the lead or liaison and the note taker can meet down the hallway to go over the notes that were taken and make any additions or changes. Anytime you have a break, you can go to the back of the Longworth House Office Building cafeteria where Azer will be, and you can debrief with him. But most importantly, we want to get those lobby notes online, from your paper to online before the end. So let me ask Tri-County New Jersey APA to come back and demonstrate the final sections of the meeting, and then we're going to have you practice that. Yeah. On the phone, we were practicing where I was the congressperson's aide, and I said, well, you know, the congressman is very into people standing during the national anthem and not taking a knee or whatever, and really trying to practice about get back to the subject and don't go down that kind of path. Aide, go ahead.
Okay, so Marie spoke to you a little bit about some ways that we could collaborate, and we're really looking to find ways that we can help you and you can help us and build on this initial meeting in the future. So Suzanne wants, we have Suzanne here to go into a little bit more detail and see what options might work for you.
Great.
Thank you. First, there's a briefing tomorrow by Francis Johnson and Jeff Clements about the progress of American Promise, if you're able to attend that. Okay. Also, we'd be glad to co-write an op-ed piece to help educate constituents. Also, a live discussion at maybe your next town hall meeting, or maybe attendance at one of our outreach meetings. There are 4 chapters of New Jersey American Promise. Also,
did you say there are 4 chapters of American Promise in New Jersey?
Incredible.
Wow.
All formed in less than the last 12 months, since July of 2017.
New Jersey's on fire.
Also, we'd appreciate a meeting with the senator when we're back in New Jersey. Yes.
So you said there's a briefing tomorrow. Do you guys have more information about that briefing?
I do, and it's in the handout that we have for you.
Perfect. And my next question is, you said you'd be more than happy to work with us on an op-ed. Is drafting something like that something that you guys have done in the past? Is it something that you'd be interested in doing in the future?
We have done that in the past, and we could definitely work with you again.
Have
or
you
work
guys,
with you
have
to
you
do
guys
that.
ever had any letters to the editor published? I'd love just to see some of them. If you could direct me to a website or something.
We actually have 10 letters to the editor that have been published, and they're all in the folder that we're going to give to you today, leave with you today.
That'll be fantastic. I will be excited to read those and get a sense for your writing styles. And what was the third ask that you said there?
A discussion, a live discussion at either one of your town hall meetings or
Okay.
one of our outreach meetings.
Okay, that's something I'll certainly ask the senator about. And your fourth ask was, and correct me if I'm wrong, to have a meeting with the senator back in New Jersey. And that's something that I'll certainly work with him, work with the scheduler, who I know you know based on how you got this meeting, have them connect you with the scheduler in your district in New Jersey. And absolutely, this is the senator's job, meeting with people like you guys.
We would really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, well, to wrap up, we talked about collaborating on a written piece, collaborating on an event, either one of your town halls or one of our outreach events, and a meeting back in the district. And there was a fourth one. I'm just going to move on.
We're fine. The briefing. It's fine.
Oh, that's right, going to the briefing tomorrow. So with regard to, other than the briefing, which I guess, will be a decision that he will make on the fly there, when should we get in touch with you again with regard to, or how should we follow up with you with regard to participating on a written piece or an event or local meeting?
What would be helpful for me is if you can type those asks out, send me an email, and within a week, let's say,
Okay.
expect a response back from me. If you don't get it, it's not because I don't want to talk with you about this. I have just forgotten. Call me. Call the office
Yes.
and remind me.
Okay, so we'll get back in touch with you within a week, and then we'll follow up with you. Oh, yes, a summary of the asks is already in the packet that we have prepared for you so thoughtfully.
Oh, I should probably look in this packet then.
Okay,
I'm
great.
excited.
Stop for a second. Would you give them and Ellen from Port Clinton a big round of applause? 1 second. Raise your hand if the American Promise Conference was 18 months ago if you had heard of American Promise 18 months ago. Raise your hand. Okay, great. Raise your hand if you've already met with a member of Congress or their staff since joining American Promise. Okay, raise your hand if you've met with a member of Congress or their staff before American Promise. 1, great. Raise your hand if you had a letter to the editor published before joining American Promise. Great, okay. Since joining American Promise, okay, great, okay, great. Fabulous, thank you very much. Now we're going to practice what we just observed. You can go on down. So you've got about 4 minutes. You're going to repeat your ask, and you're going to see about follow-up. When can we get back to you on which asks are in play, kind of thing, and thanking them. So go ahead with the last section, practice. I'm going to ask you to stop. I know it's a short amount of time, but I just wanted to get you a flavor. We're going to do one last round of questions. We're going to take 2 questions at a time. We probably have time for 2 plus 2. If you have a question, raise your hand and we'll get a mic to you. Shh. You have been so well behaved. It's amazing. So if you've got a question, raise your hand. Give your name and city. Do we have a question? Great. And who has another question? Anyone else? Actually, can't quite see. Go ahead. Okay. Name and city?
Hi, I'm Monica from Montclair, New Jersey. And Sam, I mentioned this morning. I hope it's not putting you in an uncomfortable position. But in the ask that was in the package, we did not ask them to sign the American Pledge.
Right, okay.
American Promise Pledge.
Great. Clear question. And one more question, then we'll come back to that.
Hi, Dennis Latero, Fort Lee, New Jersey. I'm wondering the idea of a caucus, and since there is some Democrats but no Republicans, is it a valid ask to ask them if they would be interested in creating a caucus and to bring in Republican members into that caucus?
Okay, great. Two great questions. So the first one was about, well, wait, there's a list of asks and signing the candidate pledge isn't one of them. We didn't want to overwhelm with asks, so we limited it. If your member of Congress or their staff is very much in a, well, wait, we could do that. We could do that. Is there anything else? That would be brilliant to raise it. We were just trying to keep it not too heavy with the numerical number of asks. So it's totally fine to bring it up. Yeah?
You know, if he says to me, hey, I already sponsored this, why do I need to sign this pledge? As a constituent, I can say back to him, because it helps me to very simply explain to other people that you are on board with
Great.
this, without having to refer to an SJR res.
Great.
You know, when I'm talking
Okay.
to people,
Good.
neighbors.
Yeah. And on the other question, well, can we ask him to join a caucus? We're actually trying to get some number on the dance floor. And there was a debate on staff, should we be going for a caucus, which would be one Republican, one Democrat, one Republican, one Democrat, or should we go for the resolution, Republican resolution? And the decision was made to start with the resolution, which is the way FCNL and Citizens Climate Lobby started. Resolution first, and about 6 or 7 months later, they started the caucus. We got to get some on the dance floor first. So I would urge you to try and weigh in with getting momentum on a Republican resolution. I think there's something like 165 co-sponsors on the various resolutions in Congress, and only one's a Republican, and the other Republicans don't consider him a Republican, kind of thing. So, you know, we need to get one thing moving, would be my answer. It's a great idea. I think it's a little farther down the road. Can we get 2 last questions? And I'm going to do a quick update. Do we have another question? We weren't that good. Any other question? I'm going to repeat. Where is it? Right there. And is there one more? Okay, we got one more here, right here. Go ahead. Name and city.
Kim Blair. City.
Pick a city.
Dunkirk, Maryland. Okay, so we had a discussion about whether we should make a video of the outcome of the meeting and post it.
Now, you mean a video, you leave the meeting and the 2 of you or 4 of you do a video? Or do you mean during the meeting you get a little bit of footage?
Not during the meeting.
Okay, great. Yeah, sure. I think it would be fine. The bottom line is the commitment here is to building relationships. You know, not, building relationships. And so let it be a video that encourages more boldness from the member of Congress rather than turning them off. And let's see if there's one last question. There's one last question. Name and city? I'll repeat it.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
All right. My name is Lynn Morrison. I'm from Wyoming. I'm trying to find something. Thank you. Trying to find something, some common ground to say to both senators and the lone congressional representatives.
Yes.
So NZ, Barrasso, and Cheney.
Yes.
To say in the beginning so that we can find some common ground?
Yes.
I can't find a
Here's
thing
the
to
deal.
say. I'm serious. I'm looking
serious.
things up. I'm trying to find something. What do you do?
This is a spiritual practice. And so how deep into Google have you gone to find something good that they've done that you appreciate for some reason? If you've gone a little bit deep, then you can maybe go a bit deeper kind of thing. Maybe we can go to Mr. Google or Mrs. Google afterward and take a look together or something. But that's the challenge. And I think it's something we want to move on to. You guys are amazing. The workshop tomorrow afternoon, I think it's at 1:40. on this same kind of action if you feel you're going to have more questions. Practice at breakfast tomorrow, during or after dinner tomorrow night, and you'll be brilliant. Thank you.